Okay, my friends, you know that this is Roger, Mudfossil University. I have discovered the giant human beings that were spoken of in the ancient texts. I have discovered the dragon, the fish, all of the things that were talked about in the ancient texts. Now, I am trying to understand about Satan and the Jinn, and I'm looking through all the different religions. And Islam has a lot of validity to me. And I was looking into the Islamic understanding of our ancient past, and I did this video. It's called The Meaning of It All, and I want you to listen to this. This was something that was written, I believe it's in the Quran or some of the Islamic texts. I'm just going to pick it up here, but you should come up and see. It's 18 minutes long. Here goes. Everything. All right, now, what does it mean? Here's where we got to get into the depth. We know these giants were so big that God couldn't drown them. They were miles and miles and miles tall. How's he going to drown them? Well, guess what? He couldn't, and he knew that. Okay, I'm just going to comment on his fabulous presentation here. This is biblical truth. Is the Quran the Word of God? He's comparing all the different texts. Now listen to what he has to say. Now before I go into this, I want to mention to you, prior to Noah and the flood, there was no rain on the earth. There was a mist. Now, I have been doing the electron flood theory, which says that the earth is nothing more than a compilation of electrons, because there is nothing that exists that isn't electrons. And as the earth accretion disk, a flat disk, increased accumulating electrons, it would eventually pop into a round ball, at which time the condensation of the water would take over and you would become a fluid-filled ball that would have some land masses that had formed in the accretion disk, and they would, Noah would eventually land on one of those. Now, so I am showing that the earth at some time likely was flat, because Enoch did say that apparently. This is what I've been told, I've been assaulted with over and over and over and over. The earth now is round. Do not come at me again about a flat earth today. The earth today is not flat. That case is over. It's absolutely fabulous. I appreciate being able to do this. I hope nobody protests. I just need to make these things known, and this was fabulous. So here goes.
Oven gushing forth water.
All right, talking about the flood. They're saying in this surah that Allah was going to gush water that was going to be from an oven. So, and now listen to what it has to say. You know that I have... Now, before we go into the oven and being gushed with the water and so forth, Allah, God, would understand eventually the rubbing would force these electrons, and then the earth would become a water world. It would separate the waters from above and from the waters below. That's exactly what happened. Now, having God understand that that all of these waters were going to come, he should also understand that we all are going to burn up before too long, because all it is more and more electrons being forced into the earth. That's what global warming is. Nothing we can do about it. We are going to burn up, and that's also what Enoch said. We will end up in fire. So this also talks about burning oven gush waters from the oven. Well, guess what? The magnetosphere and the ionosphere is thousands, 36, well, I go over it in here, but that's where the heat is, and that's where these guys were standing. And at some point, that heat would have collapsed onto them with water and boiled them. Giants that are too tall to drown. Nobody can drown them. Way too tall. Miles and miles tall. We know they were real. And here's what happened.
That's an odd statement. And you can read anywhere you want in the Quran, and there is no further elaboration on that concept. It's simply in referring to the flood, the waters of the flood. It indicates that an oven gushed forth water. Now that's Surah 11. Let's go to Surah 23, where we have another account of some of the details of the flood as well. Read with me this. And we verily sent Noah unto his folk, and he said, O my people, serve Allah, you have no other God save him. Will you not ward off evil? But the chieftains of his folk who disbelieved, there's your Arabic word for infidel, said, this is only a mortal like you, who would make himself superior to you. Had Allah willed, he surely could have sent down angels. We heard not of this in the case of our fathers of old. He's only a man, in whom is a madness, so watch him for a while. He said, this is Noah speaking to God, my Lord, help me, because they deny me. Then we inspired in him, saying, make the ship under our eyes and our inspiration. Then, when our command cometh, and the oven gusheth water, introduce therein of every kind 2 spouses, and thy household. Well, here we have a second occurrence in the Quran telling us that the flood waters gushed forth from an oven. What are we to make of that? These are the only 2 occurrences in the Quran, and as I said, there's no further elaboration, as is often the case in the Quran. A state.
Now, I'm not going to go further with this, but you should watch this video. It's pretty good, if I don't say so myself. Now, I believe Allah, God, our God, the Christian God, which is I'm looking for God's Son, Christ, who I believe Jesus Christ was his son, and he came here to tell us, hey, you better straighten up, or you are going to go to hell. And I believe that Muhammad was sent afterwards because he was visited by Jibril, which is the same angel that visited the Virgin Mary, Gabriel. And I think he told Muhammad, he said, look, these people just didn't listen, man. This is just not working out. Now, get them back in line. And Islam is a pretty strict religion. I always thought of it as just religious fanatics, and of course that's how I thought about everybody that thought about God and so forth, because I was brought up in a tradition that we're all dead dust. We all came from a big bang. There was just nothing but, do whatever you can for yourself. Who cares about anybody else? It's not that way. The golden rule is whoever gets the most gold is the one that rules. Well, that's not the golden rule that God decided on. So now I finally have discovered that, thank God, and I mean that literally, that I have discovered that, because I don't want to end up in hell. And I got a feeling that it's so well written. How could anybody miss this if they take it literally? And I take everything now literally, 100% that was written, because I can literally account for 100% of what they're saying with material facts, understanding electron flood, understanding chemistry, understanding anatomy, understanding the way these mud fossils formed and how they must have occurred, and the dragon and the fish and all these things. And of course you have to do you got to do some work. Velikovsky wrote all this. He did all kinds of work in research, and I'm doing a lot of research. I'm doing as much as I can on, most of it's online and reading and this and that, but I have to rely on the sources that did the actual hands-on investigation. My hands can't touch these things anymore. So, but I am looking into the people that wrote the accounts and backed them up with material facts and evidence and documents and texts and carvings and inscriptions and tomb writings and stele and all of the things that were material, factual, and can be cross-referenced. Because the Chinese were writing the same stories as the Mexicans, as the English, all at the same times. I don't know about the English. I don't know anymore. I got to be honest with you. There's so much to look into now. But Velikovsky backed up all his statements of our ancient accounts by multiple sources. So he's the guy that I'm really going with. And now I'm going back to Enoch, and I want to reread Enoch again, looking at exactly what he said, how he went across the mountains and the winds blew in from here and this did this and it did that. I never really considered it before as I will consider it now. And you will be with me if you want to be with me. But I want reality, so don't come across with all of this nonsense. Otherwise, I'm going to block people. I'm just done with it. I'm absolutely fed up with it. Okay, my friends, as you know, for years I have been trying to get academia to acknowledge or at least examine mud fossils, which are DNA certified gigantic human beings. Now we have the giant fish and the giant dragon in the desert that are absolutely undeniable, and for years have also been denied to even be discussed by academia. So we know that academics are frauds, and they are trying to take control of you, and they have. And they are the new slave traders. And how they have done this is they have indebted you and forced you to say the things that they say you must say for them to endorse you. Not only have they enslaved you to their way of thinking, and you must comply with the things that they say or you will be destroyed in your life. Not only that, you pay them to do this to you. That, that is just so tricky, I can't hardly believe it's possible. And it is exactly what's happening. They deny reality and truth and God and Jesus, and they're going to destroy your eternity. They are taking your money. They are binding you as slaves. And you pay them for that. It's time to refund the money and set the slaves free. Okay, so if you don't want to be a slave, remember these words. Thou shalt have no other gods before me, and thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God. He doesn't want any academics taken over. And he visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me. They hate God, and literally, they really, you're going to find that is the feeling in general in academia. If you bring up religion or God or any, don't talk about that stuff around here, that nonsense. That's exactly what they say, and they refuse to engage in the reality that I have shown. Now, this is their fate. Many will follow in their depravity. Because of them, the way of truth will be defamed, and it has. In their greed, these false teachers will exploit you with tales they have concocted. The long-standing verdict against them remains enforced, and their destruction does not sleep. Not good. I would reconsider your positions, my academic friends.